Ollie and Steven's 2013-14 NBA Preview Show. Number 21.
Hello and welcome back to Ollie and Steven's 2013-14 NBA Preview Show. We have the newly branded New Orleans Pelicans. Yes, New Orleans Pelicans, as David Stern once said. Stephen Edwards, they come in at 21, almost cracked the top 20. Good for them.
I hate this nickname. I want it set completely on record. I hate this nickname.
More than the Hornets?
Well, they should never have been. When they moved to New Orleans, they should have never ever have taken the Hornets name with it. And obviously, this debacle was about to be sorted out. But the New Orleans Pelicans, every time, I think when I first saw it on the NBA 2K14 game, I had to, for 5 seconds, I was like, who are the Pelicans? Are they like a bonus team? And then you realise that
one of the European teams.
Yeah, they've actually got NBA players and everything, and uniforms and an arena, and it's horrific. It is absolutely awful. I hate the nickname. I mean, what's your general opinion of this nickname?
It's laughable. It doesn't strike any fear into the opponent. How are you even meant to brand a Pelican? Like, that's what it's about at the end of the day. The Heat has a cool ring to it, you can brand it. You know, the Celtics is a cool sort of exclusive club of branding, but Pelicans, seriously? But I don't know what else they could use. At least this has some affinity to the city. At least it has that to it. But I just don't know what else could... I mean, Louisiana's a big place. They could do good food. I mean, maybe they could figure something out of that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the problem is the fact that the actual name that New Orleans had at one point in their history was the New Orleans Jazz. But then the Jazz moved to Utah.
They should get back.
No, you can't do that now.
I think they should do that. There should be a trade in the works. You should be able to trade players and names and whatever you want. Like, Doc Rivers was blatantly traded this year despite the rules in the NBA that say you can't trade a coach. Like, well, how come the Clippers just happened to give the Celtics a first rounder for free? Oh,
okay, here's a trade for you then. Is that for Juwan Howard of the Miami Heat, I will trade a bottle of Gatorade.
I would reject that trade. I would rather keep Juwan. I like Juwan. Juwan will supply me with the Gatorade bottles out of his salary. Okay, so if the Jazz and Pelicans were to trade nicknames, they'd have to throw something else in there as well. What else could you throw in as the Pelicans to offer to get your nickname back? I mean, Jazz is also a bad nickname, by the way.
Why?
It's just, what is it? I mean, really? Utah Jazz? It's like,
jazz music.
Yeah, I know what it is, but like, they don't even have, like, if you're going down that route, buy into it completely, have a jazz band at the home games, have the big musical, you know, whatever you call it, the sign of music on the home jersey. They need to buy into it.
Have the one of the signs of music on the jerseys, and
but
then they took it off.
They had the one thing, they need to go for the two, the big two right across. You put it down the side, going across the breastplate. I think that'd look really good, and then I'd buy into the Jazz. Right now they should trade that nickname for Tyreek Evans. Because I don't want Tyreek Evans anywhere near this side. Okay, let's try and capture the collective mindset of the god-awful nickname New Orleans Pelicans with one word for their fan base. Stephen Edwards, New Orleans are...
confused.
I think elated. I think they're very happy. I don't think they're happy with the nickname. I think they're happy with new jerseys, a whole new rebranding. I think they're very happy with Drew Holiday, and so they should be. I think that they kind of are upset, as I am, that they let Nerlens Noel go, because I think that the block city of Anthony Davis and Nerlens Noel would be very fun. I think they're elated. I think they're excited by this team.
They're excited by the team, but they're confused by the nickname, because I still don't think they probably even know what it is. And I think you are going to get at some point this season where the team is still going to be referred to as the Hornets rather than the Pelicans. And
more jersey confusion in the NBA jersey offices, I think, this season. Let's check out what they did this off-season then. A huge off-season for the Pelicans. In an off-season when a lot of people were making moves, they were preparing themselves for next year. They go and get a young all-star point guard in Drew Holiday. I absolutely love that move. And they bring in Tyreek Evans, and Anthony Morrow can offer some threes off the bench as well.
Yeah, I think I like the move of Drew Holiday. I think he was a guy that is on the cusp of really breaking out and gives the Pelicans a definite all-star. I mean, I'll get into a bit later on, but I actually think they're going to have 2 all-stars this year.
2 all-stars means that you're pointing at Anthony Davis, in my estimations. They lose Grievous Vasquez, they lose Robin Lopez. I think they should have kept Robin Lopez around. I really do. Xavier Henry goes as well, and Terrell Harris. They haven't really lost much, although Vasquez's contract was, like I said, an incredible one.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's one of those, you say, it's one of the nicer contracts in the league. But I think that the way they've overhauled the roster in the off-season, I think they've done some nice work here. I mean, we look at their rotation, which we'll discuss in a minute. You can see some optimistic times for the Pelicans on the court.
Okay, then, let's look at this rotation. It's another thing of nice single parts, I think, and now can it blend into a team? Now, do they go smaller with Davis at the 5? Do they move him to the 4 and go bigger? But then they want to have Ryan Anderson in there. They want Evans on the floor. They want Gordon on the floor, and they want Holiday on the floor. It's a mismatch of things. How do they figure this thing out?
For me, at times, I think they'll go with Holiday, Gordon, and Evans all on the court. I think at times they will move Anthony Davis to the 5 and get Ryan Anderson out there for some more shooting as well. Because I think that their centre position is an absolute car wreck.
Yeah.
They have probably got one of the worst centre positions in the NBA.
I agree. What do they do with Anthony Davis? I think you think he's going to be an all-star.
I do.
He is a 4, and they'd masquerade him as a 5.
Yeah, he's one of these new breed of hybrid big men that we've got. I mean, I saw this kid play in college, and just absolutely incredible some of the things that this kid can do. The problem is, I think a lot of people regard him as a disappointment last season. I think he played well in stretches and looked better towards the end of the season. I think he took a little bit of time to find his feet in the NBA, and I think the other thing is that when he came in as the overall number 1 pick, I think that was kind of a bit of a noose around his neck, and it just took a little while to adjust, and then he had some injury problems as well. So I think the big key for him this season will be trying to stay healthy, and if he can stay healthy and play some of the time at the 5 and get Ryan Anderson in there as well, I think we're going to see some interesting shooting, because I think Anthony Davis will be a matchup nightmare for some players.
I think it's going to be a fun team to watch as well when you look at the rotation. This is a league pass watch, I think. Anthony Davis, I felt quite sorry for him because he was projected to come in and, not blow the league away, but have a really good season, particularly defensively, and win Rookie of the Year. But Damian Lillard just had such a sensational year with Portland. I think he's due for a big year. I like the thought that a potential all-star, maybe 1 year away from that, but he can have a huge impact in this league.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Anthony Davis. I tell you what, if you could see the notes I've written down for the 24-second shot clock, I'd love to show these notes before we went on air, because you'd have laughed. Because you're literally literally the statements you're making are on my...
Apologies.
My paper.
Alright then, let's go to Jedi Ollie, because he likes these New Orleans Pelicans.
Jedi Ollie.
Just channeling, as always. Channel this force. Channel with me, Steve. Channel with me. Okay. I believe Anthony Davis will still not shave his eyebrow. He will maintain the monobrow and will live off that as when Blake Griffin lived off the car dunk. He will have all sorts of commercials based around monobrowism. And I also think that you've rated them slightly too low. I mean, I have the rest of your list and I don't want to reveal it. I'm struggling to move them up, but I just feel like they're better than the 21st best team in the league. I think that they're possibly better than the Lakers, the Wizards and Nuggets, and push the Cavs as well. I think this is a good team. I love Drew Holiday. He's going to have a monstrous season.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I've already said how much of a fan I am of Drew Holiday. I think the thing that holds me back on this is if Anthony Davis doesn't stay healthy. And I think that's the caveat of where the reason why I put them in this position as I have. If they get a full season out of Anthony Davis and they manage to put together the rotation we've just talked about, then they're not the 21st team in the NBA.
That's scary.
They're a playoff team that you're probably looking at like the 7th or the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference, and they'll probably take one game in that playoff series. But that would be a good thing for them. I'm not saying that they should be going near the lottery or get anywhere near that. I think they would actually benefit more of actually getting that playoff experience than they would getting a tanking season, not doing a great job at it, and end up with a player that's not going to be one of those potential all-stars that you've looked at already.
Agreed, I completely agree. I think that if Anthony Davis doesn't give them a full season, I think some alarm bells start ringing in New Orleans. Oh God, this guy's got some serious talent. If he's nicked up all season again, you start getting the thoughts of the injury bugs. We see it all the time with first overall pick big men. Alarm bells, whether rightly or wrongly, will start ringing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, anytime you have a guy coming in and his early seasons are plagued by injuries, you do begin to wonder.
Okay, it's time. We're excited because I believe we've already heard all the opinions for the 24-second prediction shot clock. Stephen Edwards, take it away.
New Orleans Pelicans 2013-2014. Anthony Davis will show how good he is and start to live up to the number 1 overall pick as an NBA All-Star. Drew Holiday gives the team another All-Star and will show exactly the reasons why the New Orleans Pelicans traded for him. The guy is unreal. He will step up into those elite point guards. The centre position is an absolute car wreck, nightmare, whatever you want to call it, for this team, and they would be best suited moving Davis to the 5.
I agree. I like all those predictions. I think that New Orleans having 2 All-Stars is a good shout, and I think they'll be delighted with that. They did give up their first pick for next year, which is a bit worrying. It's an unprotected pick as well, I believe. So the 76ers are going to revel in that, but I like them sneaking the 8th seed. It's not a deep conference, the East. It's top heavy, and they have a really good team if they can get it all on the floor. Yeah,
they're going to be competing against the likes of the Pistons, the Wizards, the Hawks, as teams that are going to be on the cusp of the playoffs. And if you can put Anthony Davis out there 95% of the time, I think you're going to like your chances against those. I think it's an interesting matchup when they go against the Hawks, maybe Horford against Davis.
That's a great matchup. I think that he is a matchup nightmare for every single one of those teams. I mean, he is for the whole league, but the teams that compete with specifically for that 7-8 seed, I don't think they've got anyone that can compete with all the skills and physical tools that he has.
No, and the thing that I think a lot of people were concerned about when he came into the league was could he bang with a true big man, like your Roy Hibberts, your Joakim Noahs of this world, and I think he can. I think he's got the skill set in so much that he can run the floor as good as any big man there is in the league. I mean, Noah's probably another good one for that as well. But I think this guy is not going to be pushed around when he goes into them trench battles, which you've got to be able to do when it comes to the playoffs. And I think, as I say, for me, I think that the intriguing ones are when he goes against Al Horford will be an interesting matchup, and then maybe against a Drummond could be another good thing as well. Yeah,
that'd be an electric matchup. I'm tuning into that.
Yeah, so these are the kind of matchups you're looking at, the big men matchups in this league. And I think at the moment we've got some intriguing big men matchups, and this league is full of so many point guards. I mean, Drew Holiday, for me, doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's not up there with your Roses, your Parkers, your Pauls of this world. But for me, he's in that next group down, and he doesn't get that credit. And I think maybe that's because of where he was playing for the 76ers. Maybe coming over to the Pelicans and then getting into the playoffs, and maybe we'll start getting him a bit more credibility than what he's had. He's played in the playoffs before with the 76ers. So he'll be able to tell the other guys around him what playing in the playoffs is about.
I love him so much because, one of my biggest pet peeves in the NBA is that there's too many 2 guards pretending to be a point guard and teams trying to get them to play point guards. I think he is just a true out-and-out point guard who's incredibly athletic, and that's what I love about him. He's a point guard who is athletic, not one of these 2 guards who they let bring the ball down the court, and I like that about him, and I think he's one of the best young ones in the league.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I say for me, he'll be he'll be an all-star this season, and I think he'll start to see himself getting more credit than he has done previously. And Pelicans are going to be an interesting team. And when we talked about before about the Orlando Magic being a team that you might want to watch on a given night when your team isn't playing. And Pelicans are
my team is playing. I'm looking for another team this season.
What kind of fan are you?
Are you serious? Do you want to watch Gerald Wallace and Kevin Humphreys battle out over the
floor? You know what? You say that, but I mean, look at the amount of injuries the Bulls had last season. I still watch that team play.
So of course I'll watch them play. And I'll just be waiting. I'm waiting for the ticket to come across mid-game that just sees Rondo walk off the court straight into a car and change uniforms, because I feel like that may happen at some point. Like mid-game, they just go, Rondo, we finally moved you. Like he knows it's happening. So I'm excited about that this season. Okay, let's move then to Destination City. I'm so excited for this one.
Destination City.
This is for me. I'm going to say it straight away, Stephen. I'm not going to hold anything back. This is a 10 out of 10. New Orleans is the place to go. Great food, great drink, a party atmosphere. Just had the Super Bowl. I love everything about this. And if I'm going to a basketball game after having a delightful meal and going down Bourbon Street, I get to see Drew Holiday and I get to see Anthony Davis block shots like few people can in this league. It is a flat out 10 out of 10. And if it could get an 11, I think you would do New Orleans.
No, I completely agree. I mean, where else better to party than New Orleans? You've got it's a wonderful city. You've got the basketball team on the rise. Exciting times, and if they can get a couple of All-Stars this season, I think that will just re-emphasise the development that this particular team has made. So yeah, no, it's absolutely great. I mean, you've got a nice young core in there now. It's like you Drew Holiday, you've got Eric Gordon as well, and obviously bringing in Tyreek Evans. Let's not forget that he's not older than 25. You've got Anthony Davis, he's not older than 25.
Boy, the team's stacked.
This is, a young team. They just need maybe one more player in there, and just then they can really seriously make some moves. I mean, tell you the move I would love to see them get, and it will never happen. I would love to see them be able to move Anthony Davis permanently to 5 and maybe bring in like a Kevin Love as a free agent into there.
That'd be incredible. If I'm a free agent, it doesn't get enough love, New Orleans, when they're in the free agent category, because everyone looks at LA and Miami these days. If I'm a free agent, I'd love to go to New Orleans. The fans are so passionate. They love all their sport, their football team, everything. We've just discussed the culture and stuff. Maybe that's not great if you're a basketball player eating down there all the time, but I certainly would be. I don't even care. And a rising team, you get to play with Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis, Tyreek Evans, all young guys. Eric Gordon can shoot the basketball. If I'm a free agent next summer, New Orleans, as long as they agree to change the name in my contract, I'm definitely interested in moving there.
So how about a new big young three of Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis, and Kevin Love?
I'd absolutely love that. There's something about me that says that Kevin Love has some sort of brotherly love with Ricky Rubio. Maybe Drew Holiday would convince him otherwise. It would certainly convince me. Let us know, after listening to this show, what would you change New Orleans' nickname to be? And if you were trading with the Jazz, what would you give up to get the New Orleans Jazz back? Because that's what I'd like to see, because I like tradition in the NBA. But I don't know even what else they can come up with, so try and come up with something for us and for New Orleans, because they're struggling with these nicknames at the moment. Yeah, I mean, they're, it's gone from being not so bad to being really, really bad. I'm not a fan at all. Again, that does us for number 21 on Stephen Edwards' Power Rankings on these NBA previews for First Take UK. You can find them on the YouTube page. You've already found this one, firststateuk.com. Go and check out the Power Rankings in full if you haven't already checked out the last few. We get to the 20s next, even. It's exciting times. We're building towards teams that look like they're going to be in the playoffs. We're getting to some contenders on borderlines right now, teams that are going to make moves one way or the other. Yeah, I mean, these are the teams that are going to have to make a decision whether or not they're going to have to make, or they want to make that playoff run and give their younger guys some playoff experience, or whether they do want to try and break it all up and try and tanker somewhat and try and retool for either the following year or the year after that. Okay, we'll see everyone at number 20. Enjoy that. Could be a bit of a shock.
Thanks for downloading Ollie and Steven's 2013-14 NBA preview show. Please continue to check out the First Take UK podcast.